What is a probate sale in real estate? Hi, I'm Shemeika Fox, your Santa Cruz real estate expert. And if you have been in the real estate market for any length of time, I'm sure you have either come across a probate sale or heard about a probate sale. So what is it? A probate sale is the sale of somebody's property who has passed away without leaving a will. And in general, the estate will hire an estate attorney to help with the transaction because it can be quite complicated and arduous and has to go through the court system. So how does a probate sale work? Once the representative of the estate hires a real estate agent to help with the process of the probate sale, and you should hire a real estate agent or a realtor who has probate sale experience because it is quite different and much more complex and complicated than a normal real estate transaction. So once you have hired a real estate agent to help with the sale of the property, the realtor will put the home on the market, normal, but the court will have received what's called an appraisal done by a probate referee, which is a specific type of appraiser that actually appraises the entire estate. And the court is not allowed to, unless it is confirmed by a judge, but they are not supposed to sell the property for anything less than 90% of the appraised value. So once you have the probate referee's appraised value, the realtor will put the house on the market either for that appraised value or potentially higher or lower depending on the marketing strategies of the realtor and the estate. They'll market the home for sale and they will collect offers. Once the offers come in, the initial negotiations are pretty traditional in the sense that if you have multiple offers, in my opinion, a good realtor will always counter all offers that come in with a multiple counter offer so that you can generate the highest offer with the best terms for your seller. Once the estate has decided which offer to accept from a buyer, a semi-normal escrow period will begin. During that escrow period, however, your transaction will be placed on the court calendar. This part can take anywhere from 30 to 90 days or more, depending on how busy that court system is. So your transaction will be placed on the court calendar for a probate sale, and the property will go to the court. That can't happen until all contingencies from the buyer have been removed and the buyer is ready to proceed towards the closing. Once we have a court date for the probate sale, then the estate attorney will send a notification to any and all heirs as well as any interested parties or parties who have written offers on the probate property so that they can show up to court and actually potentially overbid the buyer who is currently in escrow. The thing to consider if you plan to show up to overbid on a probate property is, one, you have to close within 10 days of the court confirmation hearing. So if you're planning on getting a loan and buying a probate sale at the court confirmation hearing, you better have that loan in place. Most people who buy probate sales at the court confirmation hearing either have hard money loan or they have all cash and they are ready to close. The second thing to consider is that the initial offer at a court confirmation hearing is it has to be 5% plus $500 above the accepted offer or the offer that is currently in escrow. And then it's up to the judge's discretion at what increments they increase the bids based on the current offer price as well as how many people are in the court to bid or overbid on that specific probate property. Once the court has determined the winning bid, the judge will ask to see a 10% deposit in the form of a cashier's check, and he will confirm the sale, close the case, and the winning bid will go through the next 10 days in order to get all their money in escrow and to actually close the transaction. So, as mentioned before, probate sales are still real estate sales, though they're a little bit more complicated and can be slightly more time-consuming than a traditional real estate sale. But they are doable, they are feasible to get done. Make sure that when you're hiring somebody to represent you in either the sale of a probate property or the purchase of a probate property, that they have experience in this field, because it is different than a traditional real estate sale. So a couple things to consider if you are thinking of buying a probate property. One is know that these properties are sold in their as-is present condition. So really have a full understanding of the property either before you make your offer or before you remove your contingencies, because there will not be any repairs that are made to that property. Another thing to consider is, do you have the time to wait for that probate property to go through the courts in order for the sale to be confirmed? And also, do you have the heart and or the stomach to get to the end of the court confirmation hearing and have been outbid? These are things that are not found in traditional sales, but if you do have the heart, if you do have the time, if you do have the stomach to get through a probate sale and the process of a probate sale, you may be able to get a really good deal. If you are considering buying a probate property or selling a probate property, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm Shemeika Fox, your Santa Cruz real estate expert, and I have been specializing in probate sales for over 12 years. Because they have, I don't know why. Okay, last time. I'm going to just like bring it in. When you find your real estate or your home or your property, well, you wouldn't find that because you would be dead. I don't like any of that. Let me start over.